Who? 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 Despite being a fan of Eric Cartman, of which I am in no way, shape, or form similar to him whatsoever, nyah, I do enjoy seeing him receive his just desert, or karma, for his bad deeds. The episode where Wendy beats up Cartman to a pulp is a good example. But for today's episode, we'll be discussing Season 5, Episode 6, Cartmanland, where Eric inherits $1 million from his late grandma's will and buys an amusement park, all for himself, and finds out that keeping an amusement park and running the way you want it isn't as simple as it seems. All the while, Kyle isn't having a great time during this and has a moment of doubt and faith. What happens when life gives Eric an amusement park while making Kyle suffer? Well, I mean, you already know if you've seen this episode. But for the few who have never seen this episode, or South Park for that matter, what happens? Well, let's take our seats, fasten our seatbelts, and get ready for our South Park Season 5, Episode 6, Cartmanland. The episode starts with the funeral of his grandma, and as always, Eric isn't sad or grieving. He's upset that her funeral is taking up his Saturday, which really isn't going so well.
Peace.
Well, that was a nice conclusion to the funeral. All the doves died. At least most of the pigeons in Joffrey's pigeon pie made it out. Well, aside from the two that were carelessly sliced by the Valerian sword, Widow's Wail. But I'm not talking about wieners, wiener, wieners, 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 wieners. We're talking about South Park. While reading the will, which Eric is just as uninterested in, until he hears that his grandma bequeathed him.
For you, Eric, I leave from my life savings the sum of $1 million to be transferred to you immediately.
Who's a jigga
Even Eric was surprised that his grandma left him $1 million. Also, she had to let him know he's her favorite fat little man, her perfect round little pudding piler. Pudding piler has to be the first in a line of embarrassing nicknames, especially in the last will and testament. But let's move on from Eric for now, as Dan and Kyle, as they blow up Jennifer Lopez, before Kenny lets them know about Eric's sudden inheritance, to which he intends to immediately spend it, which also telling money vultures to kick rocks. I can't stand people like that, and Eric was smart to just keep walking past them. Now, I should say that the Pastor Maxon isn't really a money vulture like the investor guy. Let's be honest, we all know, or at least those who know South Park, know where investing gets you in South Park.
And it's gone.
Okay, so where is Eric gonna spend his $1 million on? Well, of course he's gonna buy a whole amusement park, and no one can come in. Now you may be thinking, well, of course he would. I mean, it's Cartman, Hoots. He would never have people enjoy Cartmanland. Also,
But the lines, everywhere you go, people, crowds, the rides are great, but all the lines. If there's one thing I hate, all the lines.
I like that nod to the original and superior Grinch in my opinion. We also get a view into Cartman's antisocial tendencies with how he doesn't want to be around others. That or he just doesn't want to wait in lines for rides. Either way, Cartman is living the high life, able to enjoy an entire amusement park to himself. Look how much fun he's having. I mean, he's really having the time of his life, riding all the rides he bought, and no lines to have to stand around and wait. You know, we Hoots have thought about making a theme park dedicated to just Hoots, made by Hoots, for Hoots, and only Hoots. But I've been told that having a theme park that was just for hoots, and I do mean owls only, not just hoots, was a selfish idea. I'm paraphrasing this. So, we're in the works of making a water park for everyone, not just the hoots. I just have to wait for the water park simulator to finally come to console to open it. Alright, back to review. With Eric having so much fun, I wonder, how is Kyle taking this? Well, at first he was shocked, questioning the great almighty why he would give Eric, of all people, $1 million. Then he discovers that he has a hemorrhoid, as he has serious doubts in faith, as Stan tries to comfort him by assuring him that he couldn't be having all that fun by himself. Which we all know that isn't true. I mean, did you see the montage of him having so much fun? He was crying tears of joy. He even has a commercial made for Cartmanland and lets everyone know how much fun the rides are. But more importantly,
You can't come!
looking back, I really don't think he should have spent the money on an ad for his amusement park if no one can come. Party Hoots thought it was a smart idea to make ads for the Hoots only park. Then someone paid the Owlery a visit saying, "Hoots, you gotta let everyone in, so you can include everyone, meh meh meh." And now we're making a water park for everyone. So there. Are you happy, awesome, but noisy individual that will remain unnamed? Huh? Also, speaking of commercials, we'll be back after this short commercial break. Want to express your Hoot fan with your fam and cheese and friends? Come on down to Hoot Shop, the one-stop shop for all things Hoot in the Dark, where you can get the exclusive Hoot in the Dark shirt. Also in hoodie variety, you can also get the Hoot in the Bag organic tote bag and Sippin' Like a Hoot mug. Check out the backside. We also have mouse pads and the Hoot in the Dark sticker. So come on down to Hoot Shop and get your Hoot in the Dark merch today. And now, back to the video. Stan tells Kyle he's getting him into Cartmanland, whether Eric likes it or not, which Eric is made aware of this when, unfortunately, Kyle hurt himself on top of the fence when his hemorrhoid pops and Stan rushes him to the hospital. Not gonna lie, that was hard to see, as Kyle is in physical pain, but also doubts in faith, as he questions why would God give Cartman $1 million to buy an amusement park to keep everyone out, and then give Kyle something as painful as a hemorrhoid. I can't help but feel for Kyle. I hope I never experience the pain of what he went through. I'm still a fan of Cartman and want to remind all of you Hooties that I am not like Cartman, alright? But I also feel bad for Kyle. And like the end of the episode too. See? I'm conflicted by this episode too. Speaking of karma, it's here when Eric's path to failure begins. Oh, what do I mean? Well, Eric hires a security guard to keep others out, seeing that people can climb the fence to get in? What? By the way, if that security guard looks familiar, that's because that's the same security guard from Season 4, Episode 8, Something You Can Do With Your Finger, where the boys from a boy band. But also, he makes an appearance in the games Stick of Truth and The Fractured But Whole. Now, if you're wondering how Eric is gonna pay for this new employee, he says that he can ride 2 rides a day, as long as it's not rides he's riding. And the guard tells him that he needs money if Eric expects him to work for him, and talks Cartman into letting 2 people in a day. And this is only the beginning of what will steadily spiral, that is the downfall of Cartmanland. But let's give Eric some space as we head back to Kyle in the hospital, where his infection is so bad, he's forced to stay in bed lying on his stomach as he's completely renounced his faith, screaming it to the sky, or ceiling. Now I can understand where Kyle is coming from. Eric gets $1 million and spends it all on an amusement park, Then right after, Kyle suddenly gets a painful hemorrhoid and gets infected so bad when he tries climbing the fence in the Cartmanland that he's forced to lie on his stomach to avoid the pain. When his parents keep badgering him to keep faith when he's already struggling with his faith before popping the hemorrhoid, so I can understand that Kyle is completely given up on his Judaism. I've also been in Stan's position too, not able to add anything from a, man, that's crazy. I mean, what can you add at that point? To be honest, not trying to point wing here, but you were the one that thought up the let's climb the fence in the Cartmanland. What's gonna happen? Oh, I don't know. Kyle popping his painful hemorrhoid to cause him to denounce his faith? Back to Cartmanland, Eric reluctantly lets in 2 people to cover the security costs and let Butters and Clyde in. And for $29.95, that's a great deal. But even just 2 people, he encounters a line. And on top of that, the haunted ride is down. So he needs to let even more people to cover the costs. He also catches Stan trying to sneak in with a pretty weak disguise and gets maced. Honestly, with a poor attempt at a disguise, he deserved that. But seriously, we see Cartman learning that in order to enjoy the amusement park, he needs to keep people out with security, and he needs to pay said security, and he has to let more people in, and more and more and more and more. You see where this is going to be bad for Eric, right? Well, not as bad for Kyle. Not only having to deal with the nurses doing that to him, but his parents telling him the story of Job, a story of a man that had his life ruined by God just to prove Satan that he would continue to have faith even when his life is in ruins. But they leave out that Job is rewarded for his faith, making him feel worse. Now, of course, God does in fact reward Kyle in the end, even while Kyle has no faith and on the brink of passing on. But we aren't there yet. I also want to bring up Gerald asking Kyle how his hemorrhoid is, like it's not something seriously painful. And on top of that, telling Kyle to sit down when he's already lying on the bed. It's that nice bit of classic South Park dark humor that they're known for. Well, anyways, let's get back to Eric, as he has to let even more people in, which he lets us know is a total of 816 people making money despite him hating to let people in, while Kyle is giving up, not fighting the infection, and when things can't get worse, they start talking about how Eric is such a financial genius with his no one can enter tactic, not realizing it was him being selfish, unintentionally bringing more people as Eric demands the previous owner to buy the park back. A dumb idea, Eric. You know how much money you're making? But sure, Eric, throw it all away. I'm sure Kyle would love to hear that Eric is about to sell Cartmanland, all because you don't want to wait in lines. But it seems things are getting serious with Kyle. His infection has spread to his lungs since he's all but given up. Also, apparently Eric didn't keep records of his payouts, so the IRS snatched all of his money, and he still owes money somehow. And Stan rushes to Kyle so he can see Cartman wallowing in his misery. And that causes the hemorrhoid to shrivel away, renewing Kyle's faith.
You are up there.
And that was Cartmanland, a great episode from classic South Park. I personally like this episode despite being a fan of Eric. It is good to see him getting his just desserts. And it's a good thing Kyle made a full recovery. That was a real close one. Oh, and F in the comments for Kenny. Then again, we all know this isn't the first or last time Kenny randomly bites the big one. And it won't be until years later that we find out why he always comes back like nothing happened. I still want to see how many people pay respects for one of the times Kenny died. Anyways, let me know what you thought of the episode and review in the comments. As always, your opinions and feedback mean a lot, and I can't thank you all enough for all of your support, old and new Hooties. Like the video, share with your fam and cheese, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe today and join the Parliament of Hoots. I hope you're having an awesome day, night, whenever you watch this video. And until then, I'll see you when you visit the Owlery again, and I give my hoot in the dark. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like, share with your fams, and hype if that's even a thing that's possible for my videos. I don't know what that's about. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe today and join the Parliament of Hoots. Don't forget to check out my other social medias like Twitter and Instagram and even Twitch, even though I'm hardly ever on there anymore, and my PlayStation Network account. Also, check out those videos down there. It'll take you to more of my content. And until then, I'll see you when you visit the Owlery again, and I give my hoot in the dark.